Welcome to another lunch session, lunch dev mob programming session. So right here, we are going to today try our darndest to actually add some localized dates for our events page. So we have events.lunch.dev, and we just added avatars. Look at how cute everybody looks on our website now. Yeah, so we got some speaker info in there, which is great. I love seeing all these faces on here. Now, the other thing that we really wanted to add to this was to improve the dates, the dates and times. Now, specifically, the way that we were hoping to improve this was to kind of localize them to a user's time zone. And we're not totally sure how to do that, but we have a couple ideas. And I think that if we do it together, we'll probably be able to, get most of the way there in, I don't know, I guess we have maybe about a half an hour or so remaining, 35 minutes. So let's do that. Let's dive in. Okay, cool. So today I'm kind of playing around with Edge, Microsoft Edge. So that's kind of a new and exciting experience for me. We're going to get this is our events.lunch.dev site, and we're going to get that running. Let me zoom in a little bit by running npm run dev. It's going to build our site.
The VS Code theme you're using?
Yeah, so I have...
What am I? It looks like the hyper terminal. It's throwing me off.
I have high contrast mode enabled on my system, and I think it changed my theme. So let's see. Color theme, we can change it to... What's the standard again? Dark plus?
Probably dark. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that fit your sensibilities better, Matt?
Yeah, it just caught me off guard. I was like, wait, what? Am I looking at an editor or a terminal or what's going on here?
Okay, cool. So we're good. So we got this going. This is the local version of our site. And then I have an event picked up, but maybe maybe I should start with the most recent event. Which will be here at the bottom, which I'm very excited about. I'm excited to see Ben, you and Martin playing with Figma. Figma is such a cool tool. Okay, cool. So yeah. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So as you can see on the site here, right, all the times by default are in Pacific Standard Time, and this is largely out of necessity, right? Like, we need a time zone to put things in, and Pacific Standard Time tends to work out pretty well for most of the folks on the server. At very least, that conversion math isn't the hardest thing in the world. So we've treated 10 a.m. PST, or we've treated PST in general as like a sensible default. It would be nice if we could in some way make it so that when you view the page, it uses your local time zone, though. And if this were, a React project or something like that, like a client-side rendered project, we could do that fairly straightforwardly, right? Like, we could ship moment or date functions or some other date time library. The trouble is that this is Eleventy, and Eleventy is all about pre-building your site ahead of time, so that what you're serving is static HTML. And that's great, but it means that any of the logic that we're going to have to do, like, we have to do basically through inline scripts, like JavaScript that's going to run client-side and somehow modify the date that we've got. So some other things are, I would like to make sure that if we do monkey around with client-side JavaScript and manipulate the time there for time zones, I'd like to make sure that if JavaScript fails, we have a sensible default, probably continuing to use the Pacific time, right? Just fall back to something.
Yep.
So I'd like to progressively enhance this in some way.
Agreed. So let me try to repeat back what you said in terms of acceptance criteria. So the thing that we're here to do is to improve or localize the date. That's the big, actually, I'm just going to put that localize event dates. And so one of the ways, or one of the challenges there is So like we have everything's in PST, currently in PST. And then I think maybe some more information about that is that, man, I don't remember how we do this exactly, but it's also important probably to know that like our box, like the
Set on
build
the server.
box, yeah, the server build is...
So we set the netlify default time zone. So whenever that build processes, that's how it gets set.
Okay, is that in our
if I recall correctly.
netlify.toml file? Oh, there we go. Okay, so server is actually PST. Okay, but then in our files, so we have each of these files uses a UTC timecode. So front matter is UTC. Man, this is already a mess. And then yeah, as Ben said, this is going to be some type of like client side script. And ideally, I think we would probably use UTC as maybe the baseline for this. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we need to somehow get UTC onto the page. For each event. And then we need to figure out how to convert it. And then there's convert it. And then there's kind of this open question of like, where does this script live? Because up to this point, we haven't actually done anything. We have some sidecar CSS files that get imported, but we haven't actually done anything with JavaScript. So I assume it's going to be a fairly similar process, but we shall see what we shall see.
So there's also there's two kinds of pages on our site where we would need to do this conversion, right? There's an individual stream. You know, you go to one stream's page, right, and it says 10 a.m. PST. I say stream because I have a similar site for my streams, but events, right? You go to an event page and it's got the time. But there's also the homepage, right?
Yep.
And the homepage has a whole bunch of times. And so, yeah, that would be. I think those problems there. It's important to consider both problem sets, but I think if we can crack the homepage, we can crack the individual pages, right?
Okay.
The individual events.
Yeah.
Because almost the way I'm envisioning this, personally, the way I'm thinking is that all the times on our page are likely wrapped in time elements, right? Time tags. And that makes them pretty trivial to query selector all. And so you can iterate over each of those and then do the replacement is kind of my thought.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense.
I agree with that.
And yeah, whether you have one time on your page or many times, the logic is still the same if you're treating it as we could in theory have multiple times.
Okay. Cool. Perfect. Let's try this out. Okay, so I think maybe the first step that I'd like to see is like just putting the UTC date out on the page and ensuring that it's actually different from the PST date. So I'm going to put a span here, make sure that we get that data as we expect it. Okay, so we have event date. Oh wait, this is the type. Event.date. Interesting. I guess let's use event. Oh no, that's data. I have to say I misread those words all the freaking time. That is just part of my life. Okay, event data date is what we need. Okay, we're gonna put it in this span and wrap it in our curly braces and see what happens. Okay, cool. So we get Tuesday, June. Okay, cool. Pacific time.
Probably, if we look at the front matter, I think we have an offset in there.
We don't actually. I removed all the offsets in our. Let's see, what's the beginner's guide?
Bill. Oh, I think that's just semantics Postgres.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So we have this, and then I know
Oh,
it's coming through here. So this must be that it's getting interpreted in our build, right?
yeah. It would make sense that like locally it's getting interpreted by the fact that your machine is in Los Angeles time,
Yes.
and then when we're running Netlify dev, or when it's being built by Netlify, it's being picked up by whatever's in Netlify TOML.
Yes. And that makes sense because
Los
we were
Angeles.
experiencing this the other day when you were adding events and you were adding them and our time zones were
Yeah.
off. So it was just kind of like building everything based on your machine. Also, hello, Marcelo, right? Is that right? Cool. Nice. Glad you're here.
That's right.
If
It's
you
also Anthony.
Anthony, what's up? Good to see y'all.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Popping
Okay.
in for a little bit.
So we kind of immediately have a little bit of a challenge, I guess, in that this date is already getting interpreted. Interesting.
Yeah. So, and I know Matt's been filling people in the chat here, but if you're joining, our goal here, right, is we want it to where when the user visits the page, they see the times in their own time zone. And also, part of the goal is if any of the logic breaks, so if, for instance, the end user doesn't have JavaScript enabled for some reason, which I imagine for our audience is going to be a remarkably few number of people, but we'd like to make sure that there is a sensible fallback. I'm actually recommending we keep Pacific time as our fallback.
Yeah.
And so it's like we're pre-populating these time elements with a Pacific time. And then if the user is able to convert into their local time zone, we're converting into their local time zone.
Okay, one thing real quick that's weird about about Microsoft Edge is I'm not used to seeing all of this nonsense on my home screen.
Oh, I see.
I'm sure you can turn that off. Oh, and then Bing. Wow, that's a change. Okay, so we have from under data. I'm curious if there's anything in here that talks about like. I'd be interested to know if we can get like a raw date, right? Because obviously the date when it's being picked up by front matter is being converted somehow. But like, do we have access to this as like just raw data? That's a question that I have. Do you know what I'm saying, Ben?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, you just don't want it all parsed out nicely. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Like we purely want to get it down to the UTC string, right? Like. Yeah.
Okay. Did I do this right? If I want to just log the event. Oh, but
this is for the homepage. Oh no. You need to include this in your for loop, which starts on line 25.
Gotcha. Thank you.
No problem.
There we go. That's what I needed. Okay, cool. So let's, I guess, just inspect the data that we get back from Eleventy for each of these posts. It's a lot of it, so that'll be interesting.
It's also including all of the global data, which means like all of the people that we've added to our JSON object.
Yes. Fun.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe we
Let's see
should
there.
go to. It'd be easier if I go to a page. If I go to just an event, we can inspect that. Event.html, and then we should be able to put this anywhere.
Oh, I see your date there. Yeah, it's look for the purple strings in your console.
Oh, whoops! Oh, crap! Oh, duh!
So
I'm already inside
yeah.
of an event when this page runs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah,
Okay,
so
purple strings.
yeah.
So we have date. Okay. So why then? So there's something that happens when the page builds that gets actually like interpreted as that date. Oh, no.
It's that as date string filter.
I was thinking the same thing, except for the fact that I'm not running it. So we are running the as date, but I'm not adding it here, right? So like I would put that on, add that filter. We'll see it formatted in this same format. But even without it, we're still getting the UTC to PST conversion.
It could just be that this is something Liquid is doing for us.
Mm-hmm. Check out another. Let me look for another purple string here. Is this so? There's a date cache. Let's see. Is that something that we have access to? Okay, so we have the front.
Well, I think Eleventy is just going to use your local system time when you run that. So it's going to convert that UTC the same way that we're doing it on the server.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if there's a way that we can get access to the raw.
No, not as far as I know. So Eleventy converts your date field automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Like it, like you can't just get a raw string of it.
Yeah. Yeah. 11 being JavaScript is actually treating this as like a date object.
Sure. Yep.
So yeah.
All right. Okay.
I think that's how it's getting to. But that's fine because what we have is a date object that we can then like pass through filters, or maybe it's a string, but we can like pass it through filters that we can build, stuff like that.
So would the, I guess, like next best approach be to convert this explicitly to UTC?
Probably, yeah. And so because I know we've got very little time, I wanted to kind of walk you through my thought process for how we could implement something like this, which is that, we've got these time elements, right? And the text contents of the time elements can be our specific time fallback. And then what I was thinking is the UTC string could be a data attribute.
For sure.
And then we query selector for all time elements with that particular data attribute and use the UTC string from that, probably pass it through maybe even the JavaScript's like international datetime formatter, and maybe do some. Are y'all familiar with the term "cut the mustard"? Is this a thing y'all have heard before?
I think I've heard it. I have no idea what it means though.
Is that a Texas thing or?
I have never. No, don't pass off.
So,
I've never heard it.
This is a web development concept, but basically it's saying like if a feature exists in the browser, then you can go ahead and run this logic. Otherwise, early return. So that you're only trying to use logic that the end client has access to. So this is a part of progressive enhancement, is basically this like feature check. So yeah, cutting the mustard is client feature checking.
Sure. Yeah. So I definitely agree with the approach that you've described. Like leave it PST, add a data attribute, and then just have some client side that just like collects like all of those data attributes and then kind of converts the time locally and then replaces that PST string. The only problem is that we don't have access to a UTC string. yet.
Sure, but we can make a UTC string, and the way I would recommend doing that is probably by making a filter, like a UTC filter for
Okay.
that.
Okay.
And that way we have access to JavaScript. We even have moment like in the library in the Eleventy project already.
Okay.
So a
Yep.
quick filter that's probably even just like moment, pass it the date string, and then .utc I think is the method.
That
Okay.
is correct.
So yeah.
All right.
And that way we know for sure we have a string that is a UTC string.
Okay, cool. All right, so we're going to go into our Eleventy config file. That's where all of our filters and shortcodes and everything live. And we can probably just look at, what was it called?
Line 44 is the current one.
Let's see, line 44 as date only. Okay, so we have as date only. We can copy that. And then what do we want to call this? Like to UTC or like as UTC? Kind of borrow the
Either works for me.
Okay. Borrow the convention from before. And so we have return format new date of date. Okay, so we're going to get a date, pass the date in. Okay, and this is our whole like piping thing. And then we have this PP. So that's not what we want. That is formatting it. And so we actually probably don't want this format function, right? It was moment.toUTC. Is that right? Or UTC?
Yeah, you'll just want to do moment, date, and then .toUTC. But that looks like is that moment or date functions that's getting used there?
Let's see what we got.
Yeah, date functions.
Okay, cool. So we need a date FNS UTC. Oops, sorry. And if any of y'all find it before I do, then shout it out, whatever that function is, and we'll import it. Okay, so UTC. Maybe that search is just not great.
We may not even need date functions if we can use the JavaScript date object.
Okay.
That might be the thing, because if you when you're doing this query selector all, if you have a date string, like if we actually just give it an ISO string or whatever, all you would be doing is just setting a new date with that, and it would convert it to the local time right away, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yes.
Because you at that time, because you need JavaScript one way or the other, right? So like what you're talking about is pre-building the ISO string, but either way, we're going to have to do that conversion. So it wouldn't really matter if the string is an ISO string, and basically anything that converts to a valid date. When you do that, it's going to get localized on the user's browser. At least I think that's how time zones work. Maybe somebody can tell me I'm wrong.
No, I think you're right, because I think if I understand what you're saying, and I was kind of feeling this too, is like we're converting it to a UTC so that we can have it statically available, right? But then we're just going to convert it anyway, so it doesn't necessarily need to be in UTC. We can call,
correct,
as long as we have the ISO string, we can just, when we call it locally, then that's where it'll be.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So the only technical challenge would be is formatting that date instance once you create it.
Gotcha. Yep. Which we're going to have to do anyway, right?
Correct.
Okay. So what is the best way? Should I just change my local time zone to, if I want to experiment with this? Because it makes the development a little bit more challenging, right? Because if I change my time zone, then I'm going to see that other time zone, and I'm not going to be able to like convert it easily, right? Like it's always going to convert to itself. Does that make sense? Right, like if I change the time zone on my machine, then Eleventy is, let's say I change it to like, mountain time. Eleventy is going to start spitting this date out as mountain time. And then I'm just going to, when I create a new date from it, it's also going to be mountain time because that's the time on my machine. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Marcelo posted a link to a Chrome extension to change your time zone easily.
Oh, okay,
But
cool.
in Jet,
I'm not in Chrome.
I prefer to write a test for this, but I don't know how to do that in Eleventy. And also, like, if you were to do it with Jest, like, it's not dynamic enough. It
Sure.
just lets you test specific time zones per test.
Okay. I think it's ironic that I decided to use Microsoft Edge today, and I'm going to need to install a Chrome plugin today. Okay. I'm going to open up Chrome and see where we get, if I can drag it over to the right window.
You know what you should do is just generate an ISO string, set it back 2 hours, or like a UTC string, and just subtract it back and then call new date and see what it does. Because that's what you're trying to do, right?
Yeah, okay. So you're saying like just set this back to like 8?
Yeah. I think that's what you're trying to do. This is what I don't like about times.
Oh, except I need to change this, so it would need to be like what's another time zone, like Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Daylight Time?
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is just create an ISO string date. I'm going to give it a shot and say, sorry, I'm just going to run this in my browser quick and see if I can emulate the same thing you're trying to do here.
Oh no. Okay, so see, here we have GMT. So this is what I need to offset, right?
So what it looks like to me, what's going to happen is we can give an ISO string. If it generates a hold on, I have an idea. Is Marcelo on here? Maybe you can save me. Oh, he's on the phone. As I say, maybe he could save time. What I think we should do, what seems like a reasonable plan, is to, if we can simulate a time zone that's not our own, like you said, go to Eastern Standard Time, generate a date string and an ISO string or UTC or whatever, switch the time zone back, and then just call new date with the value that it gave you with the offset.
Okay.
And I think that would do the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna download this plugin. Why not? And then kind of see what we get.
I don't know if it'll do it on the page or in the console too, but I think that's essentially what we're trying to account for, right? Like, we're trying to say we need a browser that's in a time zone that's not our given one, and we want to call new date on the ISO or UTC string generated statically.
Right, because the system is going to spit out a UTC. Or sorry, it's going to spit out a PDT, and then we can change the browser, so the browser is at least in a different one with this this plugin that Marcelo gave us. Okay, so where's the okay, add to Chrome. I'm gonna add this. See if we get what we get. Man, I thought this was gonna be so easy too. I'm always like just befuddled by how much work everything is.
Well, whenever you have times, right? Like, you have your local developer time, you have server time, you have user time, and it's too much.
Yeah. Okay, so whatever. We're gonna go to like Dublin or whatever. Time zone, Dublin, offset. Susie, welcome. Okay, check time zone.
Hey Susie, how's it going?
Oh. I can't hear anybody.
Oh no.
Are you all talking? No. Okay.
Little bit of talking. Little talking.
Yes, you are.
Howdy, howdy.
Okay, what's my time zone? GMT. Okay, cool. So I clicked on the button that says what's my time zone just to double check. It says GMT. Okay, cool. So if I now go to events, nope, that's not what I want. Welcome.
Thanks. I just wanted to drop in and say hi real quick.
Well, we're happy to see you. It's good to see you.
You too. What are you all doing?
We are
Times.
trying. We're just messing around with dates right now. It's kind of, I would hate like having to do this for work, and it's better to do it with you all, but it's still dates and it's still rough.
So the goal here, Susie, is that when someone goes to the events.oneshotdev site, we want to be able to show them the time in their local time.
Okay, got it.
Hey.
Makes total sense.
Okay, I think. Is this proving what we
Proof
need
of
to
concept. Thanks, Marcello.
do?
You know what? This is actually the wrong extension too. There's two of them, and I found out that this one will use like the whole JavaScript date will use whatever one you set, but the internationalization API will not.
Really?
Okay.
There's
Huh.
a second one that I'm looking for right now.
So
So
this
we actually
So
we
it was
actually kind of
sabotage all along.
So this one
He said, "Here,
here,
mess with this one. Have fun with that."
we'll do both.
But
Okay.
doesn't this prove like what we were just trying to say? Like we generate a PST time, call new date on it, and then it converts it to the thing.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so now what we want to do, if I understand what we want to do, I think that we have it all. Like we have an environment now, right, where we can kind of start doing this. So if we want to, we just have to. Let's see. So data. I don't know what we call this. Like data
date time.
date time. Okay. Cool. And then I'm just gonna be real terrible for this first one. Am I cutting the mustard right now? Is that what I'm doing, Ben?
You're always cutting the mustard in my heart, Chan. No, well, I mean, okay. So first of all, every browser has the date API, right? Like we can probably pretty much agree that date is safe to do.
Sure.
The only thing that so what
Except
I
in
would do,
Safari.
what I would do though, Chen,
Yeah.
is I would, in addition to having event.data.date be the data attribute,
Uh-huh.
I would also populate the contents of the span with that same thing, right?
Oh,
And that way, if the user has JavaScript disabled, right, they should still get something.
Totally.
But,
I plan
yeah.
on, I guess, proving it out here in this extra one, and then kind of moving it into what we already have. Does that sound?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Agree, but as soon as you save this, right, it should, I think, take away the contents of that span because you've moved them into the data attribute, right?
Sure.
So we're not. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So we're gonna set as a fallback. I see what you're saying now, and I appreciate the clarification. Yeah. So we're gonna set that as a fallback, but now we will note that if we inspect this in the inspector, we have this date ISO string that we can use, and then actually we can kind of let's see, if we go to the console right here, we can use, what is that, $0? Is that the span? Yes. So we can say new date of $0, invalid date. Why is because it's the span. I need to sorry, span dot get attribute, or there's a data API, right? Get data attribute JavaScript. Okay, so
Interesting. Okay, so it's the data set. Yeah, I mean, the way I would probably do this, just kind of going old school, because I think the idea of like attributes being exposed as properties on the DOM, I think it's not necessarily available in every browser.
Okay. So you'd say
I don't know.
just
So
get
I would
attribute.
probably do like, yeah. I don't think span actually refers to anything right now. I don't think.
Oh, why is that? Okay, I'm just being silly. Get attribute of data date time. Oh,
Yeah, but with an
right.
E. Yep.
Thanks.
There you go.
Okay, cool. So we have that, and then now we want to actually create a new date from it. New date. And cool.
There we go.
Changed it to GMT.
That's excellent.
Okay, cool. So then the next thing that we want to do is we want to see, so we have document.querySelectorAll. We're going to use that to get all of the data date time elements.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have 3 spans. Oh yeah, and that's right, because I've only added it. There's 2 templates, one for new events and one for past events. So we haven't added it to the other one yet. So we only have 3. Okay. Now this is really going to test my knowledge of the DOM, because I haven't really thought about any of these APIs since learning React 7+ years ago. So we need to, so let's see, can we call for each directly on this?
Yes.
And we get a node list. Okay, so we're going to have each. Let's see, whatever, date element. And then we're going to take that and we're going to say date element dot, what's the content one? How do you change
That text content.
Oh, text content works, yes.
Dot text.
Yeah, it's either inner HTML or text content. If it's like your leaf nodes, right?
Okay. And then what are we doing? We have the date element dot get attribute of data
date time.
Oh, that was inevitable, right?
I'm wrong.
Oh no, because you're invoking data. Oh. Yeah, can you
Oh, I'm
just
not setting it
upon-
though. I need to set it. Dot date context equals, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oops. And then you'll want to get rid of that extra parenthesis at the end.
OMG.
Okay, so it did set it to December 31st, 1969. So right before the app.
Okay, so maybe I just didn't get the date right. Okay, so let me take what we have here and we'll copy this into, I'm just going to put it in line. We're just doing this baby steps at a time, right? Okay, so document querySelectorAll. Oh, I'm going to have to put this at the end if I want it to run after everything, right?
Makes sense.
Okay, cool. So we have, at least in our possession, a function that's kind of doing most of what we want it to do. Whoa. Okay, so what are the pieces of data? So we have queries. Okay, for each. Let's make this kind of more of a block so we can see what's going on here. Oops. Let UTC. How do you capitalize this stuff? If you have like a initialism, do you keep it uppercase, or would you do it like this? I know this is kind of, things that people talk about, things that programmers like.
If UTC is at the beginning like this, I'll leave it all lowercase.
Mm-hmm.
If it's at the if it's in the middle or at the end, I don't know. It actually kind of depends. I think most people will only capitalize like the first letter in the initialism, but sometimes certain acronyms, I'm just like, you know what? No, I'm capitalizing the whole thing.
Okay, null. So we're not getting that. So did I do this wrong?
You might want to log what that actually is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
Let's
I'm getting
see.
the.
Nope.
Oh, debugger. In just a little bit, kiddo. All right, and then how do I open my console? Don't want what's new. I want what is dateL. DateL is the span. Okay, so I should be able to call.
On the right side, you have the scope.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I figured it out. You're using the square braces in your get attribute, but
Oh, I don't need
on line
to.
84.
Right.
Yes.
I need to use it for the selector, but here I'm just getting the attribute. Thank you.
Right.
There we go.
That likely will do it. Yes.
Cool.
Oh man. Look at that.
So it says we're London time.
Yeah, is that what you set in your
I don't recall what was set. Let's see. No, GMT. Let's see.
Go ahead and see if you can find like Central Time or something like that.
Okay.
Don't you love large drop downs with no search?
Right?
And
Man, minus.
Oh, America, Chicago. Go ahead and
Chicago?
put America, Chicago. Yeah, that way I'll be able to validate because that's my time zone. But
there we go.
there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Offset
Save.
300. Oh, maybe I didn't save. Maybe that's what I didn't realize that I needed to save. Okay, let's hit refresh.
Right.
Yo.
Hey.
All right.
We
So it
done
was
it.
working. It's just that you were on GMT as far as the browser was concerned. Very cool.
Okay.
Look at that.
Look at us. We did it. Okay, so I'm very excited about this now. So then the question becomes, how do we want to format this date? Like, do we want to just use the browser date formatter? How do we, or do we, do we need a, datefns function? If so, should we just copy paste it? Like,
I'd like to be able to format it along the same lines as how we're already formatting those strings.
like share that code?
Well, I mean like that the end formatting should be the same as what I'm suggesting.
I see what you're saying.
But,
Yep. Okay, cool. So if that's the case, how are we formatting it? We're formatting it, was it month, day, comma, year, and then time. Okay, I think we could probably do that. So date, JavaScript.
we may run into some troubles getting the time zone abbreviation.
Okay.
That I think is one of the more painful things.
Sure. JavaScript date formats, or let's go to MDN. I like MDN. I do not format dates ever, so this is a fun experience for me.
toLocaleString might work, but it also might not.
Let's open up toLocaleString and toLocaleTimeString and toLocaleDateString. So what does toLocaleDateString do?
This looks like it. Okay, so we're gonna yeah. We're gonna pass it some options.
Okay, cool. Lots of options. Okay, so there's toLocaleDateString. Let me zoom this out a second. toLocaleString. Okay, so the date string. Gotcha. So we have the toLocaleString, which gives us the time. Is that what you were saying, Matt?
Yeah, if I recall correctly, you're going to have to do it in 2 steps there. There's also, we should check browser compatibility. Like you said, it won't matter for any of our users.
So yeah, so we have Internet Explorer is this one. But we can also, once we actually like flesh this function out, we could just do some kind of check where we get the element, and we can check for all of the features that we need, and if they don't exist, then we can just not do it. You just get PST for now. Let's see, full support except for Internet Explorer with the time zone names. I guess this is why what's it called? Date FNS is still such an important thing.
We could just load it from Unpackage and call it a day.
That's true. We could do that.
I don't know how y'all feel about that, but
I mean, we could. That would be pulling in, I think, something that is far weightier than we actually need, right? Like, again, in my mind, having localized date times is like, that's an enhancement in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hesitant to bring in a whole script, a whole date time processing script, just for this one relatively optional thing.
Sure.
dang, Ben, you and your good points.
I do tend to have lots of them.
I'm just lazy.
Okay.
So what I am going to do, though, is look at the date function's format and see if there's anything that we can just pick off of there, basically for how they do the conversion.
Okay. Yeah. So, like, if I just
I'm going to
call...
say no.
So do I need to provide? So if I'm using toLocaleString, do I also need to provide the time zone, or is it going to infer it? Like,
I mean, that's what locale is, right? Is it will infer that.
Yep.
Okay.
You would only specify that if you want to change it.
Change it.
You're fine.
Okay. All right. So that.
Ooh.
Let's see.
Ooh.
Is that it?
Yes.
Did it just do it? I just call toLocaleString and I don't give it any options, and it just does exactly what we wanted it to do.
Absolutely incredible. Try a different time string. Maybe we've done it.
This is amazing. Okay, let's see. So if I so this is curious though, because now it's doing PST, and I wonder if that's because the plugin isn't working, or if the plugin doesn't work with...
Oh.
You might have to get the... I wonder if you look at the filters file and see if there's a thing where... I'm pretty sure I built like a get offset from time zone thing.
Okay.
And I wonder if we would still have to do that. Maybe I don't know how toLocaleString works, but I thought it pulled it from the existing date.
Okay, so let's see. We have I think we took that out though, Matt, because it was for the it was for the generator. It was supporting the generator.
Yeah. Okay.
And we just make folks put it in as UTC now because it was kind of hard to adjust.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's what I think we might consider doing. If oh shoot, yeah, look. So it looks like it's just... I might have done something wrong, because it looks like it's just replacing it with the text that's already there. So maybe I screwed up our code somehow when I moved this stuff. Also, I think maybe I used toLocaleString incorrectly. I need to put it on date. Oh yeah, so it's just not replacing the time. That's what's happening. Okay, cool. This is correct now. And now we need to provide it formatting. Am I seeing that right? Yeah, I think so. Okay, it's replacing that date. Okay, so now we just need to do the formatting. So on that, we would just call.
So it looks like we want to use month short as the option.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to bounce around and look at the format here. And then probably day number or day numeric. So let me. Yep. So month short, day numeric. And then year, I think, will be.
Okay. And do I provide those as options? Is that okay?
Yes. And then year numeric as well.
Okay. Are you typing that into chat somewhere?
I will. Well,
Oh,
sorry, I
sorry.
was doing it on MDN.
Oh,
Like I was actually just running it inside of there.
I heard the clicking, and then and I was like, should I be seeing this?
Yeah, I
this
pasted
happen somewhere? Okay, cool. Thanks.
But I do need to work out the time part of that still. So I'm just.
Okay, so event to localeString, and we're going to pass in or undefined. I'm not gonna copy this all by hand.
So the only problem with that is that it's cutting off the time when we do that. And I'm trying to see how I can keep that. And it looks like it's an hour 12 option.
Day numeric. Okay, cool. And so there's no. And then you're saying we would have to kind of like reconstruct to the time zone?
That's what I'm trying to figure out right now. So if you give me just a second, this is not something I normally do. So
yeah, same. Except, you know what? This actually didn't. As soon as I put those. It interpreted the wrong comment syntax. That's why.
if anybody can help me find it. So we'll also want to
Okay.
include time zone name short. But I'm trying to find how we actually include the time. And I see an hour 12 option. But that doesn't appear to be doing it.
How is time zone name capitalized?
Camel cased.
Okay.
So time, capital Z, capital N.
Okay.
The only other option I'm seeing is hour 12, but if I use that, it's not doing the.
Okay, cool. We got PDT in there.
Now we just need the timestamp to show, right?
Yeah.
See the international time zone. Time style. Okay. Let's see it in 1 second. That might be it. Time style. Long, maybe? Garbage. Not what I wanted.
Datime format. Time style. Okay, so we have time style is full, long, medium, and short. Time style. Let's try all of them.
Okay.
Full, long, medium, and short. Okay, full seems to work. Let's try long. Oh, no, wait. Ugh. It's broken again is why that's working.
Yeah, I'm trying out the different options from the international date time thing. Okay, it might be hour, minute, and second, and then we have to, like, I guess if you provide some of them, you might have to give a lot of them, like all of it. So just a second. Okay, hour, minutes, and second with a value of numeric. Probably in our case, being that we don't use seconds, so hour colon numeric as a
So
string.
I'm doing this in time zone style.
No. So drop time zone style.
Okay.
So you'll have month, day, year, time zone name short, and then hour, and then minute as both numeric.
Hour.
Yeah.
Numeric.
So this
minute numeric.
String.
Hey.
Did we do it?
Month, day, number, comma, year. So there's a comma after the year, but that's fine. I think I'm not gonna moan about that too long. Awesome. Yeah. So we're seeing June 1st, 2021, 5 p.m. Oh wait,
But it's
PDT.
not 5 p.m.
So it's showing the right. So that's interesting. It's showing, and this could just be like a problem with our plugin, maybe, because it's showing the different time, but then it's also showing PDT, which is my actual time zone, but this is not my time.
Okay, so it could be picking up different parts of it depending on your plugin. If you disabled your plugin altogether.
Yeah, let's see if we can disable this. Reset. Oh wait.
I wonder if
maybe I can just turn it off. How do I do this? Let's manage extension. Okay, so it looks like maybe it's just not catching the time zone. In which case, why don't we wrap it for today, and then we can just kind of put this online. We can check it, in the Netlify preview, see if we got the right time zone, and we can kind of clean it up after that if we feel like if everything came through the way it needs to.
Yeah, let's go ahead and push up the deploy preview now, and that way we can all validate while we're all here together.
Sure, why not? Okay, cool. So git checkout branch. What's this gonna be? Localized date times for events. Just super explicit. Git push you. Yep, and just almost done, kiddo. Actually, do I even have this plugin installed here? I do. GHPR create. Title. Add local date version.
It does say you've got one uncommitted change. I don't know what that would be.
Okay. To events. This is Ruby here, everybody.
Hey, Ruby.
I'm going to skip the body for now. We will submit it. Oops.
Oh, yeah, you need to commit what you got.
Yeah. I thought I did that. Let's see. Add local dates to events. No, it's all right. PR. Title. Okay.
Can I tell you guys a secret?
Yeah.
I've never used the GitHub util for creating a PR. I always click on the link to open it in the browser, and I feel like this made my life way better.
Dude, the GitHub this whole util is pretty sweet. It's great.
I use it for checking out PRs into libraries and whatnot, but I've never actually tried to create a PR from it.
Yeah, it's some of the stuff is kind of weird though. Like if I want to see this PR, I can never remember exactly how to do it. So get a PR, like view, is it? Yeah, view. Some of them have like, commands or whatever.
It doesn't give you like a clickable link.
No. Well, I'm using this like the standard terminal too. Okay, cool. Awesome. So this is it.
Oh, that's neat.
Gonna open it
I'm
up.
learning things today. This is great.
Okay, cool. So I'm seeing PDT, but I was inevitably gonna see PDT. I'm curious what you all see. If you
Can you stick the link in the chat?
Yep, we'll do. If I can tab over to the right window. Got so many windows going on.
Ooh, I see it.
You see it? Is it the
Yeah,
right
I'm seeing
thing?
12 p.m. CDT. Yeah. Boom.
I see 10 a.m.
That's awesome. That is excellent.
Sweet. We did it, y'all. Okay, cool. So I'm super pumped. Y'all.
Are we time wizards?
Time wizards. We are time wizards now. Hey, this was an amazing team effort, and I really appreciate all of your expertise that got us to this got us to this moment.
That time zone changer plugin is clutch, man. Like that's
it is.
I was trying to think in my brain, like how can we even simulate this?
Well, my thought was gonna be, do I just need to do this development on my machine because I know I'm not in Pacific.
Yeah, so look at that, Marcello coming in with saving the day with the.
Oh, excellent.
The second one is even better than the first one.
Amazing.
You know what I'm gonna do after we get off this call? I'm gonna install it and see if it fixes the PDT issue that we were seeing, because that was kind of odd to see a different time, but then the same time zone. That'll be curious.
I think it might be because of that internationalization deal, but maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
the second one.
Nice.
And my question there was, even though I gave you undefined as the time zone, my thought process was that everything is undefined by default when you call toLocaleString.
Okay.
So I thought if you don't specify anything, or if you use undefined, it's just going to pull it from that date and do no coercion of any type.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't see an example of MDN calling undefined as the first argument.
Okay.
But it worked as expected. So
yeah,
that's my only question there. That I'm actually trying to research that, because I'm like, that was a guess, right?
Okay,
like
cool.
It should work.
Well, we have. I'd love to. If you're interested, there's that PR 101 is open, and so if you learn some things, we can kind of roll those into the next the final implementation of this. But as a review, why don't I just go over what we did? So we took out let's see. So we had our date that we were getting from Eleventy, and what we learned is that's already going to be converted by the time that we access it as data. There's no way for us to, or at least as far as we were able to determine, there isn't a way for us to kind of get the raw string as it's provided in front matter, which is fine. We took the date that's being processed, and we shoved that inside of a data attribute, and then we put inside the body of that element the formatted time for PST, which is the time zone that with our netlify toml that we're building our file on. Okay, now my machine is also using that time zone. If I was in a different time zone, it would show me the local time zone that machine renders it on. And so that made things a little bit difficult. We had to use that plugin. I can't remember what the name of the plugin we used was, but change time zone time shift is the one that Marcello is recommending. Let's see, I'm going to pull that up right here. There it is. That's the one. And then so we use that. So then we have all these things. We just put some inline JavaScript on our page that finds all of these datetime strings, and then for each one of them kind of creates a new date from that attribute, and uses toLocaleString to replace the text content. And we used all of these options. It looks like those options are available on MDN under not extensions. This guy right here, International Datetime Format Constructor. Down here are all of the options that you can provide to that function, which is pretty cool. And then, yeah, then we got it. Seems to work. We deployed it. Seems to work for everybody. So yeah, I think that's it. Any parting words from you all? With that recap.
Delete time zones.
Abolish time zones. That's what we all came down to. Yeah, they're horrible, useless. Nobody needs them. Just UTC everywhere. Awesome.
Oh my god.
Cool. Well, hey, friends, thanks so much for hanging out and doing this with me. This is super fun. I always enjoy hanging out with you all. If you're watching this on YouTube and you like this stuff, come hang out with us in Discord at events.lunch.dev/Discord. Subscribe if you don't want to hang out with us, but you want to see videos of us on the struggle bus with dates. And that's it. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. You want to say bye, everybody?
Have a good one, y'all.
Okay, I'll tell them later in chat.